Long ago, before the spirits stopped speaking to men, there was a village nestled between red hills and the great forest of Ogbala, a forest no one dared enter without the elder's blessing. This village was called Mboji. In that village, there was a man whom everyone feared. His name was Kaël, and his presence was like a storm held beneath the skin, silent, heavy, and always on the edge of breaking. He rarely spoke. He never smiled. And when he passed, people stepped aside without a word. Children were warned, "Don't play near Kaël's hut." Mothers whispered that his eyes could freeze fire. Some said he had killed a lion with his bare hands. Others believed he had no soul at all. He lived alone, far from the songs and drums of the village, in a stone hut near the edge of the sacred forest. Even the elders, who feared no man, lowered their gaze when they met his. What no one knew, what no one ever dared to ask, was why. But they were soon to learn the truth, for the winds of fate were already turning. One morning, the villagers gathered. The old bridge to the eastern trail had collapsed. They needed wood, strong wood, the kind that only grew deep within Ogbala, the forbidden forest. A forest said by the griots to be guarded by ancient spirits, giant serpents, and forgotten gods. Kaël stood up. "I will go," he said simply. No one answered, because you don't argue with a man who wears his grief like armor. Kaël walked for 3 days, crossing hills, rivers, and thick woods. He sang to the trees, as tradition taught, and left millet at the base of the oldest baobabs, so as not to offend the spirits. But on the 4th day, the forest became unnaturally silent. No birds, no insects. Even the wind had fled. Then came a groan, long, deep, the kind of sound no lion ever made. Kaël followed it. In a clearing veiled with vines and mist, he found a giant serpent, black as night and gold as the setting sun, pinned beneath a fallen sacred tree. Its eyes shimmered with ancient sorrow. Kaël could have run. He could have killed it, but he did neither. He stepped closer, and the serpent spoke to him, not with words, with feeling. "You carry a burden, and so do I." Kaël took his axe. He chopped, he lifted, he bled. The wood was sacred, old and heavy, but he did not stop. When the serpent was finally free, it rose slowly, its body unfolding like a river. It looked at Kaël with golden eyes. "You helped me without asking for anything, so I offer you this." It pulled a shimmering scale from its back and let it fall into Kaël's hand. "This scale will not make you rich nor powerful. It does not grant wishes. It grants truth." And then it disappeared, as silently as it had come. That night, Kaël slept beneath a sacred tree, and he dreamed. He saw Amina. She was dancing, laughing, more radiant than he remembered. But she was not a lost child. She wore robes made of bark and leaves. Spirits circled her gently. She stopped and looked at him. "I am not dead, Kaël. I am home. You are the one who lost your way." When morning came, Kaël rose. He did not cry. But something in his face had changed. He returned to Mboji, but not as he had left. The man who had disappeared into the forbidden forest had been heavy, silent, made of stone. The man who came back was lighter. Not in body. Kaël was still a giant of a man, but in the way his feet touched the earth, in the way his eyes saw the trees, in the way he breathed. The serpent's scale, still wrapped in a strip of cloth and tucked close to his chest, pulsed softly against his skin. Not hot like fire, warm like memory. As he walked back through the deep paths of Ogbala, something strange happened. The forest responded. The trees no longer watched him in silence. They whispered. The wind that once hid from him now rustled the leaves gently, as if greeting an old friend. Flowers bloomed along his path. Vines stretched toward the light. birdsong returned. Even the monkeys, those quick little spirits of the canopy, followed him from afar, curious, not afraid. Kaël, who had lived 10 seasons with his chest closed like a tomb, felt something begin to open, and for the first time in years, he whispered into the wind, "Amina." When he reached the edge of Mboji, the children were the first to see him. They did not run. They stared wide-eyed until one of them, little Ndalo, the bold one, walked up to him and asked, "Did you kill the serpent?" Kaël knelt slowly, eye to eye with the boy. "No," he said softly. "I listened to it." Ndalo grinned and ran off shouting, "Kaël made a friend with a snake." The laughter that followed didn't sting. It felt like warm rain after a long drought. In the days that followed, Kaël changed the way he walked through the world. He still built with his hands. He still hunted when needed. But now, he also sat beneath the tree of words, where the elders told stories. He spoke little, but when he did, people listened. He helped rebuild the bridge, not just the one over the river, but the one between himself and the village. He taught the young ones how to track silently, how to respect the forest. He told them about sacred trees and how not all monsters were meant to be feared. He told no one about the scale, but he began carving. Small shapes in wood, snakes, trees, the face of a woman smiling with eyes closed. They began to call him Kaël, the Rememberer. Years passed. The name of Kaël, once spoken in fear, was now whispered with respect. Some still called him Kaël the Rememberer, others, Kaël the Serpent's friend. Children born long after the events still played near the sacred tree, hoping to see golden eyes blinking in the dark. The serpent was never seen again, not truly, but sometimes at dusk, the wind curled strangely around the baobabs, and the elders would fall silent. One evening, as the fire crackled under the tree of words, a young boy named Tano sat close to Kaël, watching him carve a tiny wooden pendant. Tano, bold but thoughtful, asked quietly, "Why were you so silent when you first came here?" Kaël did not answer right away. He kept carving, smoothing the wood with care. Then, in a voice deep and steady, he said, "Would you like to know the truth?" Tano nodded, and so Kaël began to tell his true story, one he had carried alone for many seasons. "Before I came to Mboji, I belonged to another village far across the hills, where the rivers run fast and the drums never stop. There, I was not feared. I was loved, especially by one person. Her name was Amina." Kaël's hands paused a moment. "She was my fiancée. We were to be married on the first full moon of planting season. The village was already celebrating. The women were weaving her crown. The elders had blessed our union." He took a slow breath. "But the night before our wedding, a fever struck the son of a poor widow, and Amina, kind, stubborn Amina, left before dawn to find healing herbs in the forest. She told no one. She didn't want to ruin the joy. A storm came that afternoon, one of the worst the hills had seen in years." Kaël's eyes were distant, looking far beyond the flames. She never returned. Her body was never found, only her satchel, caught in the roots of a broken tree. Tano said nothing. The fire popped softly. Crickets chirped. Kaël continued, his voice softer now. "After that, I left everything. The house I built, the people who tried to help me, even my name. I walked for days, weeks maybe, I didn't count. My legs brought me to Mboji, but my soul didn't arrive until many seasons later." Tano looked up, his voice small. "And the serpent helped you?" Kaël smiled, a real one, faint but bright. "Number, I helped the serpent, and in doing so, I helped myself. Sometimes when we carry too much pain, we become something we are not, cold, distant, feared. But healing begins not with magic, but with a choice. To lift the stone from another's back, to listen, to forgive what life has taken, and to remember without turning to dust. Kaël did not slay monsters. He faced the one within, and from that moment, he was no longer just a man of silence, but a man of truth.